Thank you, everyone, for joining us. This is Live Front and Center with the Women's International Music Network. I'm your host, Myki Angeline, and I'm so pleased to welcome back good friends of ours, Gritty in Pink, with, of course, founder Shira Girl and guests that are going to be performing on an upcoming show, Frankie from Frankie and the Studs, and Leah. Welcome, everybody, to the show.
Thanks for
Thank you.
having us.
Absolutely. So it's May 1st already, which means we're almost halfway through the year. And May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and you're doing a wonderful thing coming up in LA at the Echo on May 11th. You're hosting a live performance. We're going to discuss that, pimp that, of course, and other great things that Gritty and Pink are doing to support mental health awareness. But let's go ahead and Cheryl, I'll let you kick it off talking about Gritty and Pink and what you've got in store with that. And then we can take turns with everyone sharing experiences if you'd like.
Sure. Well, we're super excited because this is our first monthly at the Echo, which, Leah may remember back in the day, pre-pandemic, we had a monthly at the Satellite, RIP, one of those long forgotten venues shuttered over COVID. But it was really cool being able to see everyone every month come together. And then as we got back into post-pandemic events, we started doing the Jam quarterly, which is the all-girl jam, 50 female musicians doing themed cover songs. Awesome event. More like a special event. It's, as you can imagine, a lot of work, booking 50 musicians and all that. We have different themes. We just did Women's Month, which was awesome. And we do have one coming up for Pride. But in addition to that, we wanted to just give, an opportunity for girls to come out and perform, full sets and original music with their bands, all female fronted bands. And just have more opportunities to perform. And so the Echo has been gracious enough. We're partnered with Live Nation. And so, they give us the room. It's amazing to do something for the community. It's a free show. You just log in with INPINK at the door and you get in and you can see all these amazing artists like Leah Martin Brown and Frankie and the Studs. So May 11th is going to be awesome. We also have the 666 and Saint Electric and hosted by Exene Reckless and BK Lynn. So it's going to be a really awesome night. And I also want to mention that we will be benefiting the Noel Family Foundation, Bradley Noel from Sublime. His family started an organization to raise awareness and funds around opioid addiction, which we all know is a huge problem linked to mental health in this country. I was reading some stats the other day. It's like staggering, like more people die of that than, car accidents and all these other things combined. It's crazy. So yeah, we're happy to be able to do something for Mental Health Month. We are going to be doing an IG Live fundraiser for them a week from today, May 8th, and we'll be raising money for them. They'll also have a table at the show. And so that kind of goes with the She Blime theme. My new all-girl tribute to Sublime is going to be playing as well and performing some of the Sublime hits. So we're excited to have the family on board.
I'm so excited that you've got that She Blime happening. Every time I turn around, you make me so tired, Shira, because you are constantly just in the grind doing all the things. And I just remember what it was like when I was young and so full of zest. So I'm so glad you're around doing the things. We have someone in the chat room.
You do a lot too, Myki.
Oh, am I allowed to? So Joni.
No, you do a lot. I'm saying you also do a lot.
Well, maybe that's why I'm so tired. Thank you, Joni, for posting in saying that how important it is to still stream things. I agree. Let's see, what else did she ask? Yes, you will stream. Okay, are you going to stream the May 11th event? Maybe that's what she's asking about.
Yeah. So that's a good event. So we'll go live on the Gritty and Pink Instagram, Gritty and Pink Life, throughout the night. But mostly you got to be there to experience it. We definitely cover the event with stories and posts and things like that. But yeah, who knows? Maybe down the line we will turn these into a live stream event as well.
Someday down the line. So let's go to Frankie and the Studs. You're one of the ones performing. Share with us about your band, how you came to be, and what it means for you to perform at this event on May 11th.
Well, so my band is called Frankie and the Studs. I'm the front woman. I sing and I play guitar. And we are super excited to play this because we actually have only done live streaming events with Gritty and Pink. So this is our first live in-person event. And we've also never played the Echo before. So I'm very excited for that too. But we started as a band about 5 or 6 years ago now. And we're a pop punk rock kind of genre band, and we play around LA a lot locally, as well as around the US and internationally. We just played the Roxy this past Saturday, opening for Glenn Matlock from the Sex Pistols, which was awesome.
So
But
cool.
yeah, we're always gigging, and I'm super excited to be involved with Gritty and Pink, and especially raising awareness for mental health. That is something that is very important to me personally, and as well as, you know, a lot of people, you know, that I love and care for. So I'm really excited to be a part of this event.
Wonderful. And we'll get back to everyone if you want to share a story and why it's personal to you. Leah, I'll give you the floor so you can introduce yourself and share with us what it means for you to do this upcoming show.
Hi. Firstly, Frankie, I've seen you play live and you're amazing. So like everyone who's in LA should definitely come on May 11th. Frankie's ridiculous. Like her band is just amazing. So I just wanted to say that.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, so my name's Leah Martin Brown. Usually I'm the lead singer for a band called Eva Walks. We're an LA-based band. I am Australian though, so don't hold that against me. For May 11th, I'm very, very blessed that Gritty and Pink have allowed me to open up the night with an acoustic set. I've been traveling a lot, doing a lot of songwriting, just kind of around the globe since the pandemic. So my band's kind of scattered to the winds at the moment. So I've trying to like ease back into it. So it's going to be really exciting to be on stage at the Echo, doing something more laid back, and opening up to such incredible artists such as, you know, Frankie and Zen Electric and, you know, F666, everything like that. So that's what I do.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. And you can share, Shira. You can, if you even want to let us know how many bands are on this bill.
So it's 5 bands in total, well, including Leah. I consider her a band. She's a solo act. Yeah, and then two hosts, and we also have DJ Christy. You know, she's always crushing it. She's our official Gritty Jam DJ now. So yeah, she's gonna crush it.
Beautiful. Now, does anyone want to go around, and whoever wants to start first, if you want to share a moment in your career or your life personally where mental health was a struggle and then how you were able to come over that?
I mean, I'll jump in. You know, I think if anyone says they didn't have issues during the pandemic, they're lying. You know, like we all had to sort of relearn life, right? For me, it was super lonely. I lived alone. Thank God for my cat, Sherbert. You know, but I think I just kind of took it in the other direction and just thought, okay, I have all this time now. And, you know, that's sort of when Gritty and Pink started building. So, you know, we also like, we were doing like the live streams weekly back then. And so I had my little social pod, like Alex Windsor, like some of the core Gritty girls, Rain. And so we kind of like, we treated those like gigs. Like every week we learned a new cover song with the theme and we would practice. And so I did have a little like pod, you know, so I wasn't entirely alone. I had like 6 of us, but that whole summer we did barbecues and, you know, so definitely like, you know, leaning on the tribe and like getting closer to some new people that I maybe wasn't as close with before. So, but all of a sudden, you know, you can't see everyone and you're like, all right, well, we play music together. So you're my new best friend. But I mean, you see, you know, I think in times like those, you really see like, you know, who's there for you. And it was very lonely at times, you know, it was hard. And just for me, I just, you know, I wanted to kind of like connect to a mission that was bigger than myself. And that's how I got through it. But definitely like I took up hiking too. Leah knows I'm always like hiking with me. But yeah. Like, you know, like just trying to get active, like forcing myself to take walks and do like, you know, yoga and, you know, things like that. So that always helps. I always hear that saying, move a muscle, change a thought. So you know, even this morning, yeah, like I woke up, I was in a bad mood. It was like Monday and I was tired and my cat woke me up at 5:30 and I'm like, I don't want to do any of this, you know? And yeah. And then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take a walk to the cafe. I felt like a new person. I got sun on my face, you know? So yeah, those are some things that help me. I try to do the meditation thing too. It's hard for me. I'm trying. I did a short one this morning and I like to do like a weekly intention. So my weekly intention was this week popped up in my mind as balance. I feel like I need more balance in my life because I'm always like, I'm either operating at like, you know, 100 or I'm like, I crash and burn. And then I'm like, you know, 5.
God,
or whatever. So
I was you at your age. I'm just having flashbacks. Yes. Going 100 and then bam, down.
yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. But, you know, I think this industry, you know, we've all seen in the past 3 years that it's like, you know, tomorrow is not guaranteed. And I think we're all like that much more grateful now for performance opportunities and things like that. Cause it's like now it's been taken away from us. You know, we know like it's not just like guaranteed. So, and I guess that's life, right? Tomorrow's never guaranteed. So it's just
I agree with that. I
live it
think,
like you're all.
especially depending on what age you are when you either start in this industry or you continue in this industry, that so much has changed on what it takes to make it in music. I think there's different tiers. It depends. If you just do it because you love it and it doesn't matter to you if you make it a career, if you need to make it a career. And the one thing the pandemic did was take away that in person. Even to even be able to just busk on the street or do a local venue, all that was taken away. And, you know, you had to learn, you've got to hop on with where social media is, where technology is. And
Right.
unless you can afford people to do all these things for you, you have to create your own music. You have to schedule your own appearances. You have to post your own social media. You have to be your own manager. And that's where the mental health struggle really hits hard, because
Yeah.
where do you find the balance from being the business end of it versus the creative end of it? And then the creativity suffers greatly a lot of the time. Do any of you, like Leah or Frankie, does this, you know, resonate with you even before and during the pandemic as an artist?
Absolutely. I was having this conversation. I have this conversation at least weekly with like one of my friends or even my partner. It's as a creative artist, it's very difficult to constantly have to wear all of these different hats, because
Right.
ideally we want to. I myself, like, I want to write music, I want to be in the studio, and then I want to be out performing it. Like, I hate social media with a fiery passion. You probably couldn't tell by looking at my social media because I'm very engaged and I post all the time. But I would rather, if someone offered me to jump off a cliff or like have to do social media forever, I'd take my chances with the cliff. I just think it's soul sucking and it's very like detrimental to your mental health, especially like for anyone, but especially as a creative artist. So that's my thoughts on that. So having that, having to do all of that, whereas back in the day, you know, you could just be that artist. You could just play all the time. It was, you know, that pressure wasn't there. And then when you release things now with social media, it's like, I release things. It's 2 weeks old. Oh God, it's old. Now no one cares about it. I have to go write more. Whereas back in the day, it was, you know, you'd take years to make an album and you'd release it and it'd have time to like stew. And it was, you know, that album was good for a year or two. Whereas now a song is good for a day. Oh,
So true.
That's how
How
I
about
feel.
you, Frankie? Does any of that ring a bell with you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I also, I'm so terrible at social media, but the thing that always like, I writing music for me is what gets me through everything. And like throughout the pandemic, when I was feeling really low, and I was just struggling with even posting on social media because I was like, I don't know, if I don't have a live show, I don't know what to post. I mean, I don't know what I'm doing here, but really writing is what got me through. And even if it wasn't like a song, just stream of consciousness writing and putting my thoughts to paper is kind of always been a catalyst for me.
Do you find, or did you find, anyone who wants to speak up, inspiration or maybe blocks or both coming out of the pandemic? You know, once things opened up again and you could start booking again and you could start being in person, did you find that easier to get into, or was there kind of a struggle with things being closed down? Did you lose connections, and you know, maybe you had certain venues in certain cities or locations where you knew you could always book, and then now it's like, well, maybe they're closed or maybe they're not, you know? Did you find the pivot back into being in person a struggle, or was it freeing?
For me personally, sorry.
No, go ahead.
For me personally, I felt like there was a whole new energy at live shows. I felt like more people were coming out than ever before. And it seemed like people really had like a hunger for live music again and for that connection. So I actually had a positive experience coming back into it. I did wait a little bit. I didn't jump right into it immediately. But when I did, I felt like it was a really positive and like it was empowering to play again.
Right on.
Yeah.
Anyone
Yeah.
else?
I was gonna say, like, I think as a promoter, it was like nerve-wracking, you know, as someone who throws events, because it's like we're like, okay, is this gonna be canceled? Are we gonna put all this, you know? Remember when every event was canceled? Like you put all this work into planning something, and then it was like, just kidding, there's another variant going around.
Yeah.
So that was a little bit, and then you know, anytime you have an all-girl jam, 50 musicians, we just knew we're like part of the like there's gonna be at least a few dropouts. This is par for the course, you know. But yeah, like Frankie said, I think it was really awesome. Like, so there was something magical. Like I remember being at Outfest in, I guess it was 2021. It was like one of the very first events I was like that came back like right after, you know, vaccines and whatever. And LPGOB was spinning and we were outside and, you know, we all had to like wear masks or whatever, but everyone started kind of ripping off their masks. And it was like, there was like this joy in the air, like life is back. We're free, you know, and like, because it was hard to see the end of that tunnel for a while, you know? So
We didn't know when it was going to end. That's true.
yeah. So overall, I think it was good, but I think, you know, yeah, from like throwing the event like that perspective, it was still nerve wracking. Like we did lose our venue, the satellite. So it took us a while to find a new venue, you know, that was going to be a good fit, but I'm so happy we're at the Echo now. We love it, the Echo. So
Love it. In the chat, Rain says it was like shell shock coming back. Probably because 3 years of the pandemic was like dog years. When I say things were 3 years ago, it just felt like it was so much longer ago because every day just dragged and every day was uncertain. I think that was the craziest pivot for me. For me, being in the music industry as a journalist, as a broadcaster, and a podcaster, I decided to take that time to harness and finesse my skill, and I joined an online 2-week podcasting seminar convention thing. And I kicked up a second podcast because I'm like, I'm bored. I miss people. I like to talk. Let's do this. And so I found I was able to book so many people like you were able to do your live one, share, because people were excited to want to connect. And if that was on Zoom and StreamYard and Instagram, then so be it. It's better than nothing and no connection at all. I think another thing to discuss with it, because in this industry, because I work in radio now, not just the podcasting and not just the Women's International Music Network, there's still that ever hard presence of women visually and seen and represented in our industry on all walks. And I think of all people that it might have affected worse, it could have been non-male, which is what I'll say, right? Non-cis men, because between women, trans women, non-binary, the struggle to come back out and finding where you can feel the space to discuss it, to work through it, I think was a lot harder. Did any of you find it particularly more of a struggle as however how you identify if it's female, non-binary in this industry coming back out from the pandemic?
I don't know. I think like, you know, it's crazy because you have to look at the political like environment, you know, has been so nuts these past like few years, right? I mean, the country has been so divided. And so on the one hand, we're like, oh, well, we've made a lot of progress. And yeah, even like the whole non-binary movement felt like that sort of like, you know, grew during those years of like the pandemic, right? So there's that. So in a way, it feels like, you know, we progressed a lot, you know, but then you have this backlash, right? We all see the news and the hate crimes and, you know, and so it's like the division, I think, has been staggering. And, you know, I don't see it as much in LA, like in our scene, obviously, you know, we're all about diversity and inclusion and everyone who comes out for us like loves it. But it's like some people I knew at home, you know, like, you know, how like the pandemic sort of just like some people kind of went off the rails, you know, like there was just some people who really,
yes.
Okay. So, so yeah, like I had, you know, some friends that like sort of, you know, went the other way. I felt like they used to be more like liberal, you know, and open-minded. And then now they were like, you know, all this trans stuff is making me hate the gay community. And, but like, you know, the thing that I like have been trying to drive home is I think it's important to talk to people that don't necessarily share your views. And so I've been really opening up a lot of dialogue with these people in my life, even like, my neighbors are Trumpers, and it's like, you want to be like, oh, stay away, but they're actually very nice people. And I think like, that's what's like the issue with our country is like, we're all so divided right now, and people need to talk across party lines. And I'm actually, because I'm not doing enough projects, I'm working on something. I got an idea brewing about this. Okay, maybe it's for 2024, but no, I just think it's so important. Like, I just think that, yeah, like I want to say like, oh yeah, everything was great. And I felt great. Like in LA, I feel safe, but it's like, what happens when we go on tour? You know what I mean? And we're in middle America, so
Good point.
just, I read the news a lot, and, you see all these stories of like extreme, hate crimes and things like that. So, I mean, I think that, beyond the pandemic, I mean, the 2020 election, I mean, like just the things we have lived through in the past 3 years is enough to make anyone go crazy, let alone musicians. So yeah, I think it's a mix, really. Mix of emotions.
Frankie or Leah, do you have anything you'd like to share on that particular subject? Experience-wise or not?
Not experience, but just from I think to speak on further what Shira mentioned. I think Shira and I even had a conversation a little bit about this when we went hiking. I coming from an outsider's perspective, because I'm not American, I am Australian, but I have lived here for quite a long time. American politics and the way that, not to put on my tinfoil hat here, but the way that I feel like the government and the media really manipulates the populace, it doesn't. Like, I feel like sometimes people forget that they're dealing with real people who have real emotions. We just, it's manipulated into being like, this person is a Republican, or this person's a Trumper, or this person's a Democrat, or this person believes in this and this person believes in that. And it almost feels like they're playing each other off against us. Like, I can't speak right now, but it feels like, it's like different sports teams. You go to their sports game and they vote there for the Raiders, and they're like, oh, we hate them, they're the and it doesn't make any sense, because obviously there are some absolutely heinous people out there, that do terrible things. We know this, there are serial killers, there are things like that. But sometimes there are just people who may share different beliefs from us. Maybe they're not educated on the subject. Maybe they were educated but had a bad experience. Maybe they grew up in a culture or a town or a society that doesn't give them the ability to see that there's more than one side of the coin. And I feel it's, coming out of the pandemic, it is very dangerous, because I feel like America especially is very, very divided and very, very polarized. And as Shira said, we need to encourage like talking to other people who we may not necessarily agree with. Doesn't mean we have to be best friends with them. Doesn't mean we can talk to them and be like, wow, you're a dick. But we've had that conversation, and we're like, okay, they're not a demon. They're not a horror, they're not a scary, unhumanoid alien. They're a human being who has a different experience. Whether or not I agree with them is a completely different story. But, we need to make sure we humanize people, because as soon as we stop humanizing them, that's when we get this crazy amount of division. That's when we start having these, like violent attacks. It escalates, because the more you dehumanize someone, the easier it is to commit, atrocities, as we found out throughout history. That was a bit dark, but that's kind of how I feel about I feel on the subject.
You're correct. And I know, because I'm sure I'm the oldest one in the room here. I turned 55 this year.
Wow.
So I'm the Gen X
Happy
generation.
birthday.
I think I'm the Gen X generation before the internet, when the only way you knew about news was a newspaper, which I don't even know if those still circulate, physical newspapers, but the newspaper, the radio, and television. That was it.
Old school.
And I think, and as someone who is on the board with and volunteers with Girls Rock Sacramento, the music camp that's here in Sacramento, and I teach self-defense, I'm pivoting with the teen camps. I just discussed this not too long ago. Instead of teaching like the physical aspect, but a couple of things on grooming, because Sacramento is always in the top 3 for human trafficking here, especially at our mall.
Wow.
And cyberbullying, because the one thing that the internet has done is it's taken away anticipation. it's added in too much overwhelming saturation and not being able to tell the difference between what is real, what is fake, what is. So when you talk about the divide, when we're not in the same room having discussions and learning that and humanizing the situation, like you mentioned, which was a beautiful way to put it, Leah, it's so easy just to compartmentalize. I've done it and just shut it down, put a label on it, end of discussion when there was no discussion to begin with. And even here in Sacramento, we have Proud Boys here. We've had attacks on trans drag brunches. We've had attacks on when we're protesting for Black Lives Matter and LGBTQ issues. I've been in those. I've been assaulted. I've been attacked. But also on the flip side of it, when you're having conversations, you'll learn that about somebody. And sometimes it's just fear. And that's why they believe what they believe, because they don't understand. And I think the biggest thing right now is bringing back that in-person discussion, that humanizing the situation, finding out where they're coming from and why, and maybe finding a happy, like compromise or a agree to disagree. And I'm the biggest person to almost not do that, because I'm the crotchety get off my lawn, get off my page person now. I'm learning to. I have transcended into seniority, people, senior citizen level. And I have to kind of learn. I'm glad I have younger folks like all y'all in my life to remind me, okay, you can be crotchety, but sometimes you got to lead. And I got to pick those moments. And so like doing this podcast and discussing this and sharing with other people who've had their experiences and how they feel about it really opens doors and opens minds and can sometimes take away that anxiety,
Yeah, no, it's so true. And I'm so sorry you've had to deal with that, but it's true. I mean, people need to talk and they need to have contact with each other. And like you said, Leah, like, remember that we're all humans, and there needs to be more tolerance on all sides. Like, as a liberal, I'll say, like, I think a lot of the times we have intolerance towards people that don't share our views. And it's like, obviously we feel very strongly about our values and our things. It doesn't mean, we have to go marry them. But at the same time, it's like, maybe if we were to be able to open up dialogue, we could meet in the middle a little bit. We could get to see why they're feeling what we're feeling. Then we get to share, okay, well, actually it's like this, and I've experienced this before a few times with people where it's like, you have to be willing though to dig in and to go to those uncomfortable places and hear things you don't want to hear. Right. So, but then the more you listen, you start to hear cracks in the story, it's that, well, like, wait, this part's not making sense, or you're missing something here, so yeah.
Well then, okay, so as we wrap this up, because the focus is on mental health, and what we brought up is a lot of what can contribute to that struggle. Share with all of us and the listeners something you do outside of music that helps balance you out and keeps you above the struggle. Whoever wants to go first.
Well, I smoke weed. I mean,
I've seen big ones, like huge.
I'm a big advocate of medical marijuana. It's helped me a lot, like with medical conditions and anxiety and mental health. So shout out to Drew Martin, our pre-roll partner. I like the low dose. I don't like to get dumbed out. I like the low dose botanical pre-rolls, but that's something that's helped me. But other than that, the things I mentioned before, taking walks, hiking, yoga, trying to meditate. I think some things I know are good for me, but it's hard to get when you get out of practice, like journaling. Like, I love journaling, but it's just hard to like actually make yourself sit and do that when you have Instagram sitting right there. Right. So, but also just taking social media breaks, like telling yourself it's okay not to post. I'm not going to post for a week. Even I feel so much better. Like, I don't mind posting stories or reading other people's posts, but like, if I feel pressure to post every day like that, then it starts to weigh on me. So I just say, you know what, I'm just going to post when I feel like it, or when there's something super important, and that makes me feel better. So sort of like giving yourself permission to take breaks. And I take breaks from weed too. You got to take breaks from everything, actually taking breaks on the weekends and not working, and just giving yourself that time. So taking breaks from people that stress you out in life, like, sometimes it's your family, right? Some like people that are in your immediate circle, and you're like, you know what, we need to not talk for a few days. I need some space. So yeah, that's some of my stuff. But I'd love to hear from you guys, Leah and Frankie. What do you guys do?
I also got really into meditation, especially during the pandemic. Even before that, I still am a very shy person, but I always wanted to play music, but I was too shy and nervous to do it. So actually meditating helped me get on a stage for the first time. And during the pandemic, I kind of remembered that, and I was like, oh, I'm going to get into this again. And going outside, either whether that's hiking, or my friend and I started this ritual during the pandemic of going to Griffith Park every weekend, and we would just sit and journal together, and we'd like ask each other questions and respond to it. And yeah, just taking walks, and I don't know, just getting out there. And for me, creating, even if that's not music, I started doing like a lot of makeup tutorials during when everything was shut down. And I was never very good at makeup before or had any interest in it, but it was just something to kind of delve into. And I liked watching makeup tutorials a lot. So finding new things that kind of interest you that you've never tried before. And yeah, creating for me is what has always helped me, get past the lowest of lows in my life.
I love that. And you, Leah?
Me, I've had a well-documented struggle with mental health. I'm nearly 4 years sober, so I use a lot of the things that I learned when I was in recovery. So, for my mental health, if I'm having like a particularly bad day, I might like work through some of my steps again. I find the fourth and the fifth step particularly helpful for me because they're the hardest and they suck. Um, I love to journal. I do a lot of yoga. I pretty much live in the gym these days because that's just what I like to do. I spend time with friends. I read books. Yeah. And then if something is, if it's a particularly bad mental health day, I really just like to sit with those feelings and be like, why do I feel like this? Where is this coming from? And trying to identify the root cause and just kind of like, I think they call it shadow work in some circles. Whatever that is, like, it's not very pleasant and it sucks at the time and it probably makes my mental health worse for like 24 to 48 hours, but then after that it doesn't bother me again. So I'm just someone who likes to go to those dark, uncomfortable places until I can like no longer have that dark, uncomfortable place inside me.
Well, congratulations on 4 years sober.
Oh, thank you.
I'm not someone who's ever struggled, but loved ones I know, and I know how hard that can be. Like, I can empathize in a sense with it. By the way, Rain feels attacked after what Shara said, but also applauds Leah. Just thought I'd show that in there.
Rain would make it all about her.
All right. I really appreciate
She's making fun of me because she says I get high, and Leah's like, I get sober. I'm like, well, to each their own, But
I really appreciate how well self-aware everybody is on that. And I think that's the biggest way to know you're getting through it is being patient with yourself when you know you're struggling or if you slip and fall, and being very forgiving to yourself, setting boundaries for other people and things, walking away from the things that stress you the most, like posting on social media or whatever. I think for me, I love working with my hands and I love working with the earth. And I love creating too. So during the pandemic, I was putting things together all the time, or I tried painting and just being outside when I could, hugging a tree. I'm a big advocate of hugging trees. Trees are amazing. They're rooted in the earth. They bring the energy up and out. They produce oxygen for us to survive. And if you just take that moment and just hug that tree and you just breathe and you just close your eyes, it's a crazy, amazing, euphoric experience. So those are the things I like to work out as well. And but just being reconnecting with the earth is my biggest, keeps me. I can shut everything else out if I don't know how to shut it down and make it go away. And then I can just focus on the simplest thing and just start from there. So, well, I want to thank everybody for coming once again. You do have your show coming up. Go ahead and do a final plug, Shara, before we close this out.
Oh, I just wanted to, I don't know if you can put the link somewhere, but free RSVP. It's in all of our Instagram bios, but yeah.
I will do that right now. Let's put that in the comments.
LU.MA/GrittyMay. Yeah, please spread the word. We want to pack the house so that we can keep doing these cool free shows at the Echo. And yeah, of course, check out INPINK.com. That's Gritty and Pink's talent marketplace. Frankie's on it, Leah's on it. All of our talent we book from this marketplace. It's a talent hub for women working in all aspects of the music industry. We are partnered with Live Nation on it and Melissa Etheridge. And so definitely check that out if you're looking to hire women working in any aspects of the industry, or if you are a woman working in any aspect of the industry, you can post your talents. It's completely free. Women keep 100% of what they earn. And so, yes, definitely spreading the word on that, as well as this May 11th event. It's going to be awesome. I'm personally so stoked to see Leah and Frankie. So I'm going to be there. Like, I'll be in the pit. Leah knows, like, I get right up front.
Yeah.
Like, I fangirl. I'm excited.
I want to see Sublime. I'm here for Sublime and Frankie and everyone, but definitely Sublime. I keep hearing all about it and seeing about it. It's going to be sick.
I tell you, this is going to be my goal. It can't be this month, unfortunately, but I'm going to make it a goal, Shira, because you usually plan enough out. I'm going to come to one of those. Because I would get FOMO all the time seeing your posts. And then, before the pandemic, and then during the pandemic, it was great to have them online. But, it's like that energy comes through when I'm watching it on the IG. And it's like, and the way you all lift one another up is just so beautiful. Love it. Each other's support system is amazing. Another way to combat mental health. So thank you again, everyone, for being here. Leah, Frankie, Shira, it's always a pleasure. This will remain for those who didn't see it from the beginning. It'll save to the Women's International Music Network's Facebook page and YouTube. And the article will be up this week on this for anything you might have missed. I am your host, Myki Angeline. And as I end every show, every day that you wake up, you determine how your day will go. So make it a good one. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you so much.